Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the conversation. I'm your host, Roxanne Grace. Guys, today I'm talking to Sinbad. You don't want to miss it. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this conversation. As always promised, I will bring my guest in just a moment. But first, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to our channel. Also, guys, check out our social profiles. They're really easy to find, all at the exact same handle at Dream Label Group. Check out our website, dreamlabelgroup.com. There you will find a mailing list. And if you join that mailing list, you will be some of the first to hear brand new music from Dream and receive updates about our awesome show. Also, guys, on our website, you will find a link to subscribe to our podcast. We are pretty much everywhere. You can find us at iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and many more. So go check that out. Guys, my guest today has brought so much joy and laughter to so many lives. I'm talking about actor, comedian, and good old family man, Sinbad. Let's bring in the man himself.
Hey, what's up, Roxanne?
Sir, how are you doing?
I'm always good. Even when I'm bad, I'm good.
Oh, hey, the name says it all. Listen, I got to tell you, it is an absolute honor to have a conversation with you today. I grew up on programs like A Different World. So this is just so exciting for me. So let's jump right into it. I used to watch The Cosby Show and A Different World. And I know that you had, your own program for a long time. And you've been in so many movies and films, like way too many to list. And I know even recently you were in a hilarious sitcom, Rel. I think it aired from about like 2018 to 2019. And I was watching some of it last evening and I was laughing hysterically. What is the iconic Sinbad up to right now?
Right now, when COVID hit, I mean, I'm always on the road. I'm on the road like, 3 weeks, 3 days out the week before COVID hit. I come home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, go back on either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday. So when COVID hit, first I'm like everybody else, hey, what am I going to do? But then I started realizing there's some good sides to COVID. I have an 8-month-old grandson. My son Royce just had a child, and I'm home every day. I get a chance to be with him and watch him grow up. So it's been I think it's been as crazy as it sounds. I mean, because thank God I've been able to pay my rent. I've been able to do things because I'll tell you other ways I found to survive. But I was able to be around family. There's 6 people in our house right now, family members, and we're all trying to make it work. So I think if you don't curse the darkness, I look at it this way. Look, okay, what's the good side of this? And quit waiting for. Everyone kept saying, when it gets back to normal, what if this is the new normal? What if the new normal is not what it was? So my mind started racing right in March. My mind started. I started looking. I'm a tech head, so I went through about 20. I went through StreamYard. I went through Go Stream Labs. I went through OB. I went through about 20 pieces of software to figure out how can I perform and make it virtual. But it was kind of too early. People looked at me like I was crazy. My agents were talking to me like I was crazy. I said, "Man, we can do virtual shows." He goes, "What is that?" I said, "I can have a screen. I've had computer screens in front of me, and I can be doing my show." And I realized,
but not everybody's doing it.
Now everyone's doing it. But back then, everybody was trying to hang on to what it was. So I reached out to someone who did corporate gigs with me, said, "Man, let's do a corporate virtual gig. This is the new way." And we did it. I mean, the money is not as much, but it's okay. It is what it is for right now.
Right.
So I was able to do some things to keep myself alive by never panicking. I tell my friends, my musician friends, don't panic. So my daughter Paige is writing. She does music, but also she writes as a writer, man, putting web episodes and movies together. My wife and my kids formed a new production company, Stone Harbor Productions. Cool. I'm involved, but I let them do the thing. They're doing all the grunt work. My son Royce, a director, editor, writer, he does it all. So we're waiting for that next thing, and I know it's close. And you just got to keep faith. You always tell people leave room for the magic. Let God do something. Can you let him do something? You try and do everything. He's like, he'll do this. Okay, go ahead. You got a great idea? Go ahead. You don't need me. Sometimes he'll let you jack it up. So, and then when you mess it up, you're like, oh God, help me. I've been trying to talk to you. I tried to catch you a mile back, but you weren't listening. So I'm excited about where the world can be. I mean, I know
Mm,
now I don't want to go back to where it was. I don't want to go on the road every week. I don't want to be gone every weekend. I'm 64 years old now. I want to enjoy because we're so geeked on working and working. I've never not
mm.
worked. So I said, let me do a different kind of work behind the camera, be smart, or actually do nothing. Just go sit outside. And I like sometimes sleeping till noon and going, I have nothing to do all day. I enjoy that sometimes.
Well, come on. Actually, my next question I was going to ask you, I was going to say, how do you keep yourself grounded? But it sounds like family plays a huge role in that. But
Yeah.
through the years, being so iconic and everybody knowing of you and you being in pretty much everything for the longest time, how back then did you keep yourself grounded?
It's my life, I've been maybe been different, Roxanne. If I had been like 18 when I got discovered or 19, but God didn't work it that way for me. I was a
Mm.
kid from Michigan. I didn't know how you become famous. I knew I wanted to be famous, but there was no HBO or any of that stuff. So I ended up going to college, dropped out of college, playing basketball. It was a
Wow.
horrible 4-year experience, but it was a part of the building block. So I don't curse it now. When I was
Mm.
younger, it hurt me. But all that hurt made me who I am now. So you can't hurt me. Then I joined the military, got kicked out the Air Force, but it was the Air Force talent show that got me started doing comedy. And that's why I always go back and perform for the troops. Because man, I was immature in some of my thinking, and some of it was not for me. But I still go back because I respect the military. I respect all my guys in the military. I respect all my men and women in the military and their families and what they go through. So for me, when I got to Hollywood, I was like, hey, this is the easiest gig in the world. Although it's hard, I said, this is the easiest gig in the world. So I just kept moving from there. I never stopped. I always looked at another way. You can't close a door on me. If you do, you better lock it up tight. Don't keep it cracked. Don't use a chain. I'll kick a chain in.
Oh, I love that. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I definitely can see that coming through and everything that you do. Sinbad, we know you as a great man of faith. Has it always been like that? Were you raised in a Christian home? Like, at what point in your life did you give your heart to Jesus?
Well, I'm blessed. My father is a preacher. My father was a preacher. But you got to look at, no, we work in this. This is where I'm trouble right now. I think Christianity is used now. I think
Mm.
in politics and in life, people run back to God when when they're losing an argument. They will, my God. Oh, no, 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 no. You don't you didn't bring God in the beginning of this conversation. You can't bring him in at the end. I think we're losing more and more young people remember, this is the biggest generation that doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in church, because it's been used as a tool. So let me say, when I talk about religion, when I talk about faith, what mine is, my father was a never was a monster church, but was always a great man. He was always doing something for people. I've seen what my father done. I've seen the sacrifice he's made. I saw the love he had for people, and I am who I am because my mother and father. My mother and father taught me about God at an early age. But then you go to college, they call you got to find your own God. You have your parents' God in you, but then you get challenged and you go to school and you think you know some stuff. And then I had to have that real moment that I had to come to Jesus moment where I actually told God, I was in a college dorm room and my life wasn't going too well and sports weren't going too well. I said, tell you what, I drew up a contract. I actually sat there in my ignorance and drew up a contract and said, if you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. I said, I'll figure it out on my own.
Wow.
And then I did the dumbest thing you could do. I demanded to see him. I said, if you're real, I demand to see you. Then I remembered, the last time somebody saw God, they didn't work out too well. So I said, hey, you know what? Never mind, never mind. I said, I don't need to see you. I don't need to see you. I just need you to leave me alone. And but something happened that evening where all this stuff I thought I was doing, it's like that footprints in the sand thing. But I had that moment like, you thought you did all this, you thought you were doing all this. And I also didn't want to, that for me as a kid from the 60s, 70s, to disrespect my parents. I was like, even though I'm growing up as a man, I said, well, is there something here? And he spoke to me. And that's okay. He said, your life ain't gonna be easy. It's not gonna be an easy path. But at the end of this path, I'm gonna forward you into something. I said, well, could you give me exactly the timeline? See, God won't give it. If he would give us the timeline, I think, Christianity could be a lot easier if he said next Wednesday. If you can
Or,
hang on next
or
Wednesday,
we'd run. There's a good possibility. Like,
yes.
no way.
Yeah, just like, hey man, it's gonna take you 10 years. What? I need you. He has to give you hope that each day is gonna come. Because if he told you, man, it's gonna be 10 years. I'm like it's like Joseph. I mean, I'm gonna be. How long am I gonna be gone? It's going to be a minute.
Exactly.
You'll
I
be gone
always
for a
say,
minute.
like with God's plans for our lives, getting A to B is going like A to W to
Yeah, you
Z.
don't go to
Back
B. You never go to B. B is
to,
last. You go to A to Z, A to T. I said, can I get to B? B's coming. B's coming. B's
exactly.
going to be good.
Come on.
B's going to be good.
Hmm.
And then
You're
after a while,
absolutely
you
right.
know that surrender, when you do that surrender, and that's a very big thing. And I don't think, see, when I witness to people, I don't do the God. My dad was never one of those God fire, man, you need to come to God. My dad was more like this. My dad would sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody.
Mm.
Look, Reverend, I ain't into that God thing. He said, man, I asked you for some coffee. I didn't ask you nothing about God. So before you know it, they're talking, and well, okay, if your life, if a Christian, if you don't live your life, if there's not some light in your eyes, see, true Christians, you'll meet somebody like, man, what is it? I'm not saying it'd be perfect. Let's get this out the way. All these people have a problem with Christians, or he might curse, or he might do this, or he might drink. I said, hey, there ain't no perfection out here.
That's
You can
right.
stop that now. There's no perfection in evil either, and you'll follow that. So let's not get that twisted. So my dad was more like, hey man, why don't you try this? You try a car out. You try out a pair of shoes. If the shoes don't fit, you take them back. He said, if God doesn't work, jump off the train. If your life ain't better, why should you keep doing it?
Hmm.
That's all his whole thing was. Look, you tried everything else. That didn't work. How's your life working out for you now? Why don't you try this one? See what happens. And that's where I'm at. Hey, you tried everything else. You jacked everything else up. Try one more thing.
I love it. You mentioned that this generation, this current generation, is the most unchurched generation. Like our generations, even if we weren't in church, we were raised hearing the gospel in some way, Sunday school, whatever. It was normal life for us.
It's somewhere in your DNA. It's somewhere
Absolutely.
in your DNA.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
It's somewhere in our DNA. And young people right now, I mean, they're not going necessarily into the four walls, into the church building.
Your
But
spiritual. Their thing is the spiritual, the being, and the meditation in the
right,
earth, and recycling and all that. And I can't blame them, because it's our generation that failed them.
right.
Our generation
Exactly.
is arguing like children. Our generation is acting like stupid kids. Our generation is showing the ugliest side of humanity that I've seen in a long time. It's always been there. It never left. Let's get this straight. This country has never been straight. It's never been a straight country, because it wasn't built that way. If a house is built crooked, it'll lay crooked. For a house to become straight from being built crooked, you have to take the house down. And I think for the first time in America, we have to take the house down. And I'm not talking about either side. I ain't talking about Democrat, Republican, liberal. Everybody has to take the house down and say, where's your heart? I judge people by their heart now. I don't judge you by your what red or blue, whatever. Where's
Come
your
on.
heart at? If your
Come
heart ain't
on.
right, I don't care where you at. You can't talk to me. You have no conversation with me. Don't come to me like you care. Don't come to me like you care. I'm not even trying to convert you. I'm not even in the conversion mode anymore in this country. Once you tell me where you're standing and where you go, that's how I judge you now. It's like everybody doesn't make it to the promised land.
Right.
Everybody ain't gonna make it, and that's just the way it is.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I love how you're just being so real. And that's what, even like we're just talking about young people, that's what young people want. It's not that they're not spiritually hungry, because they're so hungry. Creation
Yeah,
is longing for the creator, but they want real, just like what you're saying. They want real. They don't want this facade. They don't want these games or this
yeah.
fakeness. This next question I have for you. So my husband and myself, we were watching last night a comedy special that you did, and we were laughing hysterically. I mean, we were almost on the floor, and it was about marriage. Naturally we're married, so we definitely related to everything,
Hey.
everything you were saying. So
That's
I
God.
hear,
That's God's biggest joke, ain't it? I want you to hook up with somebody for the rest of your life. What?
yeah, I hear through the grapevine that you give fantastic marriage advice. Throw it at us.
You know what? I give advice that you can't keep yourself. See, there's advice you can give. You know what? With marriage, everybody's marriage is so different, but it's not. Everybody wants to think, we have an idea of what marriage is. And there's stages of marriage. It's like first getting married, then it's been married for about 7, 8, 9 years. That's when people almost break up now because it becomes too much. Then there's that Once you get past 15, 20, it's a different joint. It's a different place. Like, yeah, I heard you say it, but you let it go. I heard you say it, but that's okay because I don't care. So you have to. I found out the key, man, with marriage, and the hardest part about marriage, because everybody's trying to control. Everybody thinks they're losing something. Everybody think, oh, I'm not going to be controlled. You're not going to tell me what to do. I said, everybody goes back to the kids and the mother and father. So you can almost treat like your spouse, like, is that my mother? What they say, you ain't my daddy, you ain't my mother. You can almost get to that point where you see the other person as someone trying to control you. I say, no, if nothing else, you got to marry somebody you like, not just
Right.
love. A lot of people fall in love, but do you like this person? That's like your best friend. You know, we have a best friend in life. You accept all the dumbness that comes with them. Your best friend, usually somebody not just like you. Y'all might be totally opposite, but somehow y'all groove in some kind of way. It's like, I'll use sports analogy all the time. It's like a team, like, okay, I look at LeBron James and Rondo. Yes, we won the championship. Don't cry. So it's like LeBron James and Rondo. He should play with the Celtics. These guys should be enemies. But once they came together on this team, it worked.
Yeah.
I've never understood in sports. Isn't it crazy how I can hate this guy when he plays for another team, but now that he plays with me, he might become my best friend because we adapt. And marriage is about adapting. And a lot of times we don't adapt too well because we fall in love with the other stuff, how they look and how you feel. Oh, she makes me feel this. Oh, she's so beautiful. Drop that. What if she's ugly tomorrow? What if your man get fat? You got to prepare yourself for the next phase of this life, man. Things don't always stay this way. So is this someone you can spend the rest of your life with? And everything ain't that deep. Some stuff you got to let go. Everything is not a fight. Everything is not somebody trying to get you. And you think everything is not somebody trying to get you. Sometimes you just, I've even said yes to stuff I know I ain't going to do. But just because I know when we get there, I'm not going to have to do this. But I don't have to plant my feet in the ground right now. I've seen more husbands kill themselves thinking they have a voice. Dude, you don't have no voice. As a husband, your job is to adapt and help. And you got to go off and figure out how to do your life. Men, once you get married, you become third. You become behind the wife, the children, and then you. And if you got a dog, you might be fourth. So you got to figure out how you're going to dig with being fourth.
That's great. That's great. To our audience, are you guys getting that? This is amazing, amazing advice. Thank you so much. All our husbands are like, oh.
It is.
No.
I mean, you know what the key is? The key is this. When you argument, is this worth breaking up over? If it's not, stop. Is this the argument that kills the family because you left the top of the toothpaste off or because you didn't vacuum? I have to vacuum. Is this the argument that breaks? Is this the straw breaks the camel's back? Is this the reason I leave? If it's not, you know what? Quit tripping. Quit tripping.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You're absolutely right. The little things. I mean, we gotta pick our battles,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Really,
it is.
not
You
everything
do.
is a battle.
Yeah. Everything's
No.
not a war. And now we go to war. And I'm like, yo, go.
Yeah, exactly. So I, a couple days ago, when I found out that I have the opportunity to interview you, I threw out onto my private Facebook, my personal Facebook page, and I just kind of mentioned to my friends, I said, hey guys, I get to interview the legendary Sinbad. And I offered, I gave opportunity for my friends to, ask some questions. So I chose a couple questions that my friends wanted me to ask you. One of them actually is from Cheryl Cooper, Alice Cooper's wife, Cheryl. She
That's
had
my girl.
yeah, Cheryl.
That's my girl.
Yeah, Cheryl.
That's my
So
family.
Cheryl had mentioned that you came out to, I think it was Proof for
Yes.
Solid
Yes.
Rock. So she wanted me to ask you, what was your opinion and your experience with Solid Rock and your amazing performance? I think it was at Proof, is what she said.
Till that time I was doing comedy, but tell her now, I've been practicing my bass and my guitar and I'm working on my sax. Next time I do that, I want to play. I want to play rock. I want to sit down and get funky and play with them. And we're gonna mix some funk and some rock, man. We're gonna have some funky rock. I love it. They were just building their that center they were building for entertainment for kids and teaching. Man, it was just I love her and her husband and her daughter. I love that whole family. I love what they're about.
Yes, I do too. I actually was involved in their organization for a long time. I fully believe in it and I adore them. Her and Alice are amazing, wonderful people. Somebody else wanted to know too, who would you consider iconic?
For me, outside of my family, I was blessed because my dad was I had a hero in my house. I was really blessed there. But I look at iconic. Okay, let me go as a kid. Let me give the stages growing up. When I grew up, my heroes were Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X,
Mm,
Red Skelton, believe it or not, Alan King, Jonathan Winters. So I look, the guys who are iconic to me are beasts. Bill Cosby, these guys were beasts. I mean, Richard Pryor, it's amazing what these people, Medgar Evers. So it was a mixture between people who were activists and people who were entertainers and people who were athletes. And so I looked at them and I looked at their life. And as a kid, they were larger than life to me. And I want to be Jacques Cousteau, man. I want to be Merrill Andretti. There were so many people who did so many great things. But as I got older, I started reading. You can't read about, okay, when the guy's right here, everybody wants to talk about how'd you get to the limo. I said, I want that first story. And you found a lot of them were just like you. What gave me hope when I found some of them start off at less than me. And they just had that persistence. Man, I tell people grit. There's a book called Grit the Great. No, there's no determination why some people make it and some don't. We know that. Why
right.
someone has the talent, didn't make it, and some person does. But the one thing that's always there is grit. Some people just got that grit and you can't stop them. It's that pit bull, is that dog in them, man and woman. They're just like, I
Right,
will not
absolutely.
be stopped. I don't care about sexism. I don't care about racism. I don't care, like, if you're scared, homosexuality, LGBTQ, you don't dig what I'm doing. Their thing is, I don't care. I
Right.
don't care how you see me. You will not stop me. And that's why I think all of those people had a little bit of faith in something bigger than themselves,
Come on.
because you're not big enough to do it yourself. I leave room for the magic. See, I leave room for the magic. You put all the ingredients, and when you're cooking something, you put in all the ingredients. Well, now let me leave some room for the magic. Let the man upstairs do something. Let him give me the last bit, which is the whole bit. He lets us do our little thing because I think it's important for us to do our thing. It's important for a human being processing and using your brain and using your skill set. Yeah, I wish I could wake up. God, could you give me some abs? If I could just wake up, I swear, if you just give me some abs, I'll be a better person. Man, if I could just wake up, God, you drop 30 pounds off me like this, I'm gonna give you a gym membership. Oh God, I
Exactly.
didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for the gym membership. You are so great. Can you give me the abs? They're there. It's under your fat stomach. You got some abs. I gave them to you. You ruined them.
Well, we know that the Bible says that faith without works is dead.
It's
So
dead.
it
It's
does. It works
dead.
hand in hand. Absolutely. We
That's
hand
my,
this
you know,
Bible
that's my
and we're
favorite
like,
quote.
okay, God, we're ready.
That's
Bless
my
us.
favorite quote, Roxanne. That's my I tell people. Faith without works is dead. And I said, to do the impossible, you have to see the invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Come
two
on.
things. If you can see it, it's not big enough. If you can see how this works, your dream is too small. It means you could have achieved it by yourself.
That's
And
right.
sometimes you get when faith without works, but it means leap of faith means I'm stepping off this cliff. I'm gonna do everything right. I'm gonna get in shape. I got my rope, but I'm gonna step off this cliff because I have the faith that I put the work in. I did my studying. I get my best climbing gear. I'm ready to take that leap of faith, and that's what it is. That's all it is. It's what? It's kind of simple, but it ain't. It's God laid it out simple, but it ain't because He gave us free will. He shouldn't have gave us that. That's the thing. He should not have given us. You can't give people free will. We mess it up.
That's true. It's very true. Sinbad, I'm so bummed because our time together is coming to an end. I would
Oh,
love to hang out with you like all day long. You're so fun and you have so much wisdom and advice to give. Where could our audience find, if they don't already know? I can't imagine people don't know where to find you, but if they don't know where to find you, where could they find you?
on Instagram, I'm Sinbad Bad. Twitter, I'm Sinbad Bad. Facebook, I'm just Sinbad. I'm always out there doing something, man. I have ADHD, so it's all disjointed, but it all makes sense in the end. So come and hang out with me.
I love it.
Oh, I do a podcast with my son called Blurred Empire, Black Nerds. So you can catch us at Blurred, BLERD, Blurred Empire.
Blurred Empire. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy, busy schedule, like I said earlier, to chat with us. It has been an extreme honor and privilege to have this conversation with you. And hopefully we can do this again soon.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And tell your man Lance I said what's up.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that. And also, I didn't tell you earlier that Cheryl and Alice also wanted me to give you their greetings and their love. So
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Tell him I
awesome.
said what's happening.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Sinbad. Guys, that is all the time that we have with legendary Sinbad. Again, if you guys want to reach us, you can always email us. We're open for questions, comments, even ideas for upcoming programs. Until next week, stay blessed in Him. We'll see you then.